Hello. Hi.
Hi.
It's Lynn, and I'm here with Jillian. Jillian is with this absolutely gorgeous store called Petal and Hive, and it's in Ballston Spa, New York, which I am shocked that I've never been here before. Like, I lived in New York for 25 years.
But it makes sense that you wouldn't come upstate because when I lived downstate, I had no interest in coming upstate either. So you come up and you see it when the weather's beautiful like this, and it's just you fall in love.
It's amazing. I mean, but I did go to the Berkshires, but that was like as far as I went. And if you just go a little further, you find this like magical place, and it really is spectacular. So Jillian has created this little oasis of calm and zen within this cute little town, as if they needed it, right? They're already a zen oasis. So it's the zen within the zen. But we're going to talk a little bit about her journey because it's super interesting, and her passion for clean beauty. And she is like a multitasker extraordinaire, because not only is she an entrepreneur and a retailer and has her own brand and is a cosmetic chemist and does marketing and does
Too much.
XYZ. You're also a mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then do you have dogs?
I have 2 cats.
Okay. So she's a pet owner too. So it is a lot. So we're going to find out how she does it all.
All right, good.
So let's start with just give people a little bit of sense of what was the sort of magnetic attraction to have you put down your roots here and do this, because this is not easy. And I'm somebody who had a store too, and I know how hard it is. So that's a commitment.
Mm-hmm. It was, I started making my products out of my home. So when you go back 10 years ago, the whole reason I got into any of this is because so many founder stories are exactly the same.
Yeah.
I had my first child. She was born with several severe food allergies. And I did not know anything about clean living. Like, even when I was pregnant back then, this was 20 years ago.
No, we didn't talk about it then.
No. So she's born, food allergies, and I went down the rabbit hole into vegan eating, clean eating, all of that stuff. And then once you get down that rabbit hole, this was back when the like blogs were big, all like the personal blogs. Then you get into all like the natural, like skincare and house cleaning things and all that. And so I just went whole hog into it. I also got so far into it that I got down the homeschooling rabbit hole, and I homeschooled my kids.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yep, for several years. So I was like all in on that. We have chickens, bees, growing my own vegetables and everything, right? Like,
yes, but that's so is okay. I just have to ask her this. I saw this earlier, and I'm like, oh, she's got honey, not realizing it was your own bees.
Yeah. Yes.
I had hives in the Berkshires because we use beeswax in my candle brand, and they swarmed and left the hive.
Yes. I did swarms on a couple occasions. Did you ever see one in real life?
No. Is it cool?
It's majestic. You know that you're never going to see them again, but they come up and they're in like this tornado formation, and then they take off. It's wild.
So either I didn't feed them enough. I don't know why.
No, it's what I tell people. If you want to stay young, keep bees, because you're always learning and you'll never know the answer. So there's
no like, okay, that's interesting. Cause I was like, I wonder why they swarmed. I had 2 hives. Mm-hmm. They both left. And then we end up selling the house, and I didn't want to deal with that again. But like, I was kind of bummed out about it. I felt like a bad bee parent.
No, it's nothing. There's a million things it could be. And it's like, if you have a dog or a cat, you look at them, and even a chicken, you can be like, oh, honey, like, how are you doing? You're not doing well. Bees don't tell you anything. So you can look for clues, but honestly, it could have been there's reasons why.
Well, I was just happy that it wasn't like they were all dead in the hive. Yes. That would have really okay.
That's terrible.
So, that's terrible, because at least it's like, here we're trying to save the bees now. Mm-hmm. But I do think maybe the food was tastier in another farm next door or something. I don't know. But okay, so this is super interesting, and we could probably spend a lot of time talking about chickens, because I've been tempted about that too. But then I resisted temptation. I actually had neighbors that they rented goats.
Really?
To basically eat their grass and mow their lawn
How'd that work?
naturally. Unbelievable. They had
Really?
goats for like a week or two, and they just would let them loose and let them do their thing. So I almost,
All right.
I'm the kind of person that would actually do that, but my husband's the one who's like, no, we're not gonna, no, no.
He'd be taking care of them too. So
Yeah. So we didn't do it, but fascinating. So here you're in a place where you actually can do all that. Maybe that's
Yes.
also the attraction too. When you're in New York City, okay,
You
yeah,
can't.
you hear about people that have beehives in their top of their apartment in Brooklyn or whatever. But let's face it,
Yeah.
most of us are not living in the penthouse with rooftop access. So
Right.
that's not going to happen. So, okay. So how did you get here? You were in New York.
Yep. So we were in New York, had a baby, visited upstate, Saratoga Springs in the summer, fell in love, moved immediately afterwards because it just made sense, you know.
Okay.
And this is a great place to raise a family too.
Yeah.
And the mountains are right here. There's so
Yeah,
much.
beautiful.
So I was then, here I am, homesteading, homeschooling mom. And I got into herbal medicine because that was the natural gateway, you know?
Yeah.
So we're using herbs that we're growing or purchasing and like having a lot of success with it. Then I started on my herbalism track. So I started on the path to become an herbalist. And I was using like herbs on my skin. You'd make like a tea, or I'd steep them in an oil, and I'd use them just directly on myself. And my husband was a former cosmetic chemist, and he said, this looks very messy. He likes things that are efficient. He's like, this is inefficient. It's messy. Why don't I show you how to make an emulsion? I'll show you a basic lotion formula. We're going to put your herbs, the tea and the oil in the lotion, and we're going to see if it still has the same effect. So we did it with arnica for our first one. So arnica is great for aches and pains and bruising and inflammation.
Yeah.
So I would just be putting the oil on myself. We put it in the cream, and lo and behold, it worked great. So we're like, oh, okay. So as I started to go down that path of like, I'd watch him, I'd be like, what, how are you making that? What's this lotion thing you're making? And, you know, what's an emulsion and all of that? He started to teach me, and I realized I have a natural affinity for it, much more than the herbalism. My heart is still with herbalism.
Interesting.
I use herbs in everything I make because I know that they make a difference in your skin.
Yeah.
Like botanical extracts really do make a difference when you apply them to your skin. But I was able to figure out how, just with the right ratios of different ingredients, you can tweak a little bit here and tweak a little bit there, and it can come out really different, you know. Or sometimes I'm sure with your hair care, it'd be like, you know what, this is good, but maybe it's a little heavy. Do you think we can change them and make it a little light? Right?
Yeah.
So you tweak like that.
Yes.
But I just, because I'm so sensory sensitive, I think I just was able to understand quickly how different ingredients make a formula feel. So like there's a ton of different emulsifiers out there, right?
Yeah.
And they all have a different effect on your final product. So I'd make just the same formula, the different emulsifiers, and judging by how it felt, and I'd use it all over my body in different places, because like what you put on your hands, your face, your feet, your legs should all feel different because it's different sensation you have in all those places. So that's when I was like, okay, this is something I really enjoy doing. So he got me to a certain place as far as understanding proper like procedure with, you know, keeping a clean space, how the order of operations with making things, temperature, all that. And then, and he understands equipment. So he understood how to help me get my equipment. But for me to take it further, so I went on to do there's a trade school in Australia that's online that teaches cosmetic chemistry. So I did their program and learned tons. And then a lot of it is, once you understand the basics, it's just playing with different ingredients.
Yeah. But there is an intuition, okay? Because like if I tried it, I don't have that intuition that you have.
Right.
My co-founder does, and he's not a chemist, but that's, you know, he really worked to make those formulas and used a lot of his gut instinct, and this, we think this ingredient might do something, and let's try this. But not everybody has that ability. And I think it's pretty amazing that I mean, if you think about like the things that have happened in your life, right? The steps that leading up, and then your ability to do it. And then to your point, it's playing, but to like, not everybody can make something good. That's what I'm trying to say. You can play around all you want, but it doesn't mean it's good. I've had plenty of brands that I've talked to, and they have a founder / chemist, and the products are,
I hate to say it, but I will go. So my husband and I will sometimes like go to Ulta on a date for fun.
Oh my God.
And we'll spend, because he loves all that stuff too still. So we'll spend like 2 hours in there just like feeling all of the products on our hands.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of products that are out there on the market that actually are just have that. They're sticky.
Yeah, they're sticky.
Tacky, they don't feel good.
It's like, why is it so? So we were having this conversation actually about this Sundrunk product because it's amazing. Okay. We got to give her little props and a shout out. She has this sunscreen, and how many people have used sunscreens where they're like greasy, and especially the mineral ones, they're thick. You got to really rub it in to get it in. And then it's on your hands, it's on your clothes. You've got a white cast. You look like Casper the Ghost.
And it makes a film that almost is heavy, and it feels like a glove. But not this one.
No, this is a whole different thing.
Yes. It feels nice and light, and it has a nice matte finish. Under makeup, this would be just beautiful. I can't wait to try it.
It's really good. And so she's got her active ingredient, which is just the zinc, but then obviously she's got the inactive ingredients, which are exactly what you're talking about, give it the feel. And I just think she's done a really nice job making these products, because these days, there's no excuse, in my opinion. You should be able to make a product that is clean. We always say by EU standards, because it's a lot stricter, but clean by someone's standards, but also feel good and work. Those shouldn't be a trade-off anymore, right?
Right. I agree. But it's the same with any industry. There should be every single restaurant should have delicious food, because we have amazing chefs who are capable of doing that. We have chemists who are capable of making amazing products.
It's so interesting that I had that literal thought of, I went to a restaurant when I've been traveling a lot, and it was bad food. It was overcooked. The sauce was awful. And I'm thinking to myself, I can literally go on TikTok and find a better recipe and go in the back and make it. Why do they have to serve bad food? There's no excuse.
Because not everybody has quality standards like we do.
Oh my God. It's crazy to me. I guess you're right. They just think it's good enough and it's fine. But if they just put a little more effort into zhuzhing up the recipes a little bit, it would be so much better. But it's similar in beauty. I guess we'll bring it back to beauty.
Yeah.
Is that just because a product has certain ingredients doesn't make it good. I'll give you my example of one of the ingredients we use in my hair care is aloe. A lot of products have aloe in them, but there's different grades of aloe and different types of aloe and different ways that it's sort of refined. And our chemist actually makes her own organic aloe.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is literally like the highest quality that you can get, but not everything is the same. Just because it says it's in there doesn't mean that it's that quality.
Yep.
You have to kind of figure it out a little bit and do the due diligence of trying it and feeling it and seeing if it works for you. So if somebody is interested in just figuring out, maybe not to the extent that you did. Oh, and by the way, do you also forage? Do you find?
Not so much foraging. I will grow herbs or purchase organic herbs from somebody. I don't know, not the foraging.
Because we have one of our other stores we're in is called Remby's Herb Shop in Brooklyn, and she forages.
Wow.
And
it's fun to do that, but
if you know what you're doing.
Yes, you have to know what you're picking.
I'm I don't want to try a mushroom from Cheryl as much as I trust her. It's a little hi. So yes, Nicholas is here. Well, maybe he'll join us. We're just doing a little live on Jillian's story. So we're just talking about that. So, okay. So the foraging, you don't really do that yourself. I don't blame you.
Yep.
But my question was more around, you figured out how to take the steps towards more conscious living, and then conscious beauty became a big passion point. If somebody else is sort of thinking about this stuff for whatever reason, health, kids, lifestyle, and they're thinking, how do I even start? It's so confusing. It's so complicated. Give us some advice. How do people figure it out?
For beauty or for a whole lifestyle?
Either. I mean, honestly, start with
Beauty.
and then do a little bigger picture too.
With beauty, so you're right. It's hard to know what's clean and what's not clean.
Yeah.
And then people have their different, if you're pregnant, there's a different level of clean that you want to pay attention to. I have to say, way back when I was first starting all of this journey and I didn't know about ingredients, I didn't know what was in it. I remember but my husband, who was a chemist, did know, but we weren't having conversations about this. So I went to the store and I bought a body wash, and it's a long time ago. It had like a green leaf on it, and it had said like bio something on it.
So I had not read. Sounds green.
Yes. And so I didn't read the ingredients, but I brought it home and he looked at it and he said, "You realize none of this stuff is clean, right?" And I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "All these ingredients are terrible, but they put a leaf on it and put the word bio or eco or something on it." And a lot of people do that. And that's what's called greenwashing. And that was my first moment when I realized that greenwashing was a thing. Yeah. So just because it says eco on the label, on the front panel label, right, and just because it has a green leaf or a flower does not mean anything. So that's where the Conscious Beauty Collective comes in, because if you have something that's certified by another organization or it's somehow they're part of it, then you know that somebody else has reviewed it. So that's the easiest and simplest thing if you don't know. So you have yours, and then there's all kinds of other organizations out there that are certifying products. So that would be what I would stick to if I honestly had no idea.
Yeah. But you're right. I do this little hotel series. Every time I'm staying in a hotel, I will check out their personal care products, because 99% of the time, the one I'm in actually now has good stuff. They have Ursa Major, which I was like, yay. That almost never happens.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 of them have toxic stuff. And sometimes it's so annoying because they will do exactly what you're talking about. They will put it in a package that says, green and clean, or something like that. Yeah. And you're like, green and clean shampoo, it sounds good. And it'll say no sulfates on the front. And I'm like, okay, but this is the other thing. It's like with real estate, when they don't show pictures in the listing, it's a shitter. Take that same philosophy to beauty. If they only say no sulfate free, guess what they're not saying? There's parabens, there's phthalates, there's other stuff in there. That's the interesting thing. So when I turned around the ingredient label and I started looking at it, sure enough, it had loads of bad stuff in there, but it was positioned so sneakily as a clean product. And how many people are going to take the product out of the holder in the shower and turn it around and look at it like me? Almost nobody. Right. So people have this false sense of it's fine and it's not. And so I love that. And I always tell people, don't trust any of us, frankly. Don't trust the brands. Do your own research, because, it changes all the time too. I mean, now, okay, what do you think about the EU now looking at retinols?
Well, retinols, that's the thing. Like I said, if you're pregnant, you have different things. Yeah. So that stuff can really affect you. And honestly, now, bakuchiol is the whole new wave of the future with being a retinol alternative. And even that in itself, I'm going to be really interested to see what happens in 10 years, because that comes from the seeds of a plant that can only be grown in certain conditions in the world. So that may be,
we may have
I'm wondering
problem
if
with supply chain with that. Yeah.
Right. So it works great. Retinol itself, if you want to change your skin in a month, it's a super fast, easy way to do it. But for long term, a lot of people have issues with it anyway, And
that's the other thing. It's like, just because something is on the market doesn't mean it's safe or good for long term. And by the way, not everything natural is good and not everything chemical is bad. That's the other thing people don't realize. There are chemicals that are perfectly safe and good. And then there's natural stuff that can be in there that's actually not very good for you. So not to put it on the consumers to have to figure out everything, but there are also apps. There's Think Dirty, there's EWG. You can go on to some of these apps and look at ingredients to help start to educate yourself. Or if you're ever in doubt, send a DM to the brand. I just had somebody DM me and they're like, what is the, it's the I have a fatty alcohol in my styling cream,
Mhm.
and I had to explain it's a non-drying emollient.
Oh, because it says alcohol. So
Because it says, but it's not the way people think about astringent alcohols, right?
Mhm.
It's a different type. And so, but people don't know. So ask, because, the founders or the brand should be able to tell you all the things that are in their products.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've done all this journey. You've done it. So it's interesting also that your passion and your husband's kind of didn't really combine so much until
Right. And I wouldn't be
later.
where I am now if it weren't for him. He's completely made me into what I am, which is
he
and
just
I like
molded
to think,
you.
I
He took you as a piece of
him.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's convenient, right? That he's like, oh no,
Yeah.
but it's kind of interesting that was what he was doing, and it's something that you happen to love as well.
Right. And I would have had no idea if he had just said, I'm going to teach you how to make this stuff. And if I didn't have the herbalism part of it in me, where I was able to see how it all connected, I don't think I would have been hooked the way I was. Like, because it gave it meaning. Because back then I was just making like arnica cream, or I was making things that were not necessarily skincare. They were like body products that then I could see how my work would actually make a difference in people's lives. So that's what hooks me. It's not just, some people just like the chemistry. My husband loves just mixing things up.
Yeah.
He likes that. I like knowing that the product I'm making is going to make a difference for somebody else. So for me, that's where I get hooked on it.
It's so interesting because I'm the same way. When I get a good review of our products, and I've had people literally say, like, I never liked my hair ever in my entire life. Now I do. I'm like, oh,
that's
see,
awesome.
That's literally makes like, then it's all of it is worth it, right?
Yeah.
When you get that kind of feedback, you just feel so good because it really does matter.
Yes.
So yes, in our own little world, we are trying to change the industry, and that's not easy. So what do you think we could do as founders? Any other ideas of how we can make the industry? I always say the beauty industry is not beautiful underneath, because it's a lot of products that are not great, not clean, and then sustainability. We're not great about that either. The beauty,
that's the next piece.
Yeah.
Is sustainability, because even just look at palm oil. Palm oil is in almost every personal care product. I wanted to work on a moisturizer that used no palm, and I can do it. It's not very elegant feeling though. I think going forward, we'll have a lot more ingredients that don't have palm in them that we can work with. But for now, even if all the palm oil products that I use are still part of the the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm, right?
Yeah,
and mass balance and all that. Sure. But I know that they are working on protecting the palm forest, and it's good that we have organizations like that. But you wonder, we're looking, 20 years down the line, is it making a huge difference? It's like all the orangutans are losing their habitat, and we're still using palm in our products, even if it is being offset by, planting another tree and all that. So I would like to see us, for sustainability, go away from palm. That would be one thing that we definitely do for sustainability. And the packaging is the other thing.
We have so much packaging. So this is the interesting thing. So when we launched our brand, because we're in the shower, we have these plastic bottles. They're there behind me, right there. You can see them. I'm trying to get my finger there. The problem is, it just irks me. Like, I just have this thing, like, why do we have this plastic? So we launched these large size sustainable ceramic bottles that are beautiful. And I wanted them to be something that people wanted in their shower because they look good, The problem is getting consumer behavior there. So people always say, yes, 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 they're interested and they want to be more sustainable. And then you give them an option, and then the behavior doesn't follow.
Hi.
So that is a challenge.
Yes. You must be with all of our teen and tween hair care.
Okay, so give us 2 seconds. We're going to wrap this up. Okay, so this has been an amazing conversation. If you happen to be catching this and your today is September 14th and you are near Ballston Spa, come by. But if you're not, come and see Jillian, and she will help you with your skin, your hair, your beauty, whatever you need. Obviously, she knows exactly what to do.
I'm using the Masami hair products today. I love them.
Thank
And I'm using the Yarrow oil this morning, and I love that too. So it's all good.
It's
got lots
a
of good
love
things
fest. It's a love fest. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the flip side. Okay.
All right.
Probably.